What's up, you guys? Joe Dobby here. I am now a Deck Out Gaming affiliate. Use Joe Dobbs Deck Out at checkout. Deck Out Gaming has tons of singles for Pokemon, Dragon Ball Super, and Digimon TCG, as well as One Piece. They now buy list as well, so don't hesitate to reach out, and they got your back. Really high customer service ratings. Thank you guys, and yeah, let's get to the video. What's up, you guys? Joe Dobby here, and I am so excited to showcase this deck profile. As you guys know, I have been updating Beelzemon since EX2, and even before that, I was playing Beelzemon, just the secret Beels from BT2 with like Mallow and Lilithmon, because you know, Beelzemon's one of my main Digimon, if not is my main Digimon, so I'm so excited to finally have this advanced deck set. And we're gonna be going over my deck profile, what I'm currently testing as far as the build is concerned, and to kind of go over my reasoning behind it. There's a lot of utility in purple with the usage of cards with Wizard in its traits, so I'm kind of experimenting. And spoiler alert, as you saw in the thumbnail, we actually have Musyamon, who is a jamming wizard in purple. One of the only, if not the only, Digimon with jamming actually in purple. I am almost certain that it's actually the only Digimon that's got jamming in purple, so we'll dive right into it. Okay, so before I forget, guys, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. I don't always ask to kind of like and subscribe if you have been watching my content for a while. But if you find it helpful, if you're interested in, you know, joining my Discord and just hanging out, doing viewer battles, practicing, you'll get a chance to pick my brain a little bit more on the Discord. So just ask for it and I will let you guys know. But now we're gonna dive into the profile. So starting off with the eggs here, we've actually got the standard eggs, you know, 1 copy of Pagu and 4 copies of the new Musyamon. So Pagu is pretty simple. On deletion, trash top 2 cards of your deck. And then Musyamon, when attacking once per turn, if this Digimon has Wizard or Demon Lord in its traits, trash the top 2 cards of your deck. That is both effects from Pagu and Musyamon actually being mandatory. So you gotta be careful late game, like when attacking, that if you're gonna deck yourself out, you better be winning that turn, because Musyamon will pretty much not, it's not a May effect. But very great eggs, I'm very happy to see that. So next we're gonna dive into all the rookies, and we play what should be 13 rookies, I think 14 actually in the deck. We play 4 copies of Impmon from BT2, 4 copies of Impmon from EX2, 4 copies of Impmon from the new advanced deck, and 1 copy of Impmon BT6, 1 Psychmon, and 1 Gazimon. So we actually run quite a bit here. I think that's 12, 15 rookies. Might come off as a lot. Honestly, feel free to cut some for extra space here, but I'm testing this right now because against Crossheart, should the deck still be pretty competitive, I believe it is, Psychmon and Beelstarmon especially, so these decks tend to rush out Beels fairly quickly. I know you can get to trash very quickly now, but you know, without blockers, etc., you can, if you miss a step, they're gonna get through your security, assuming they don't hit, you know, your security bombs. So Psychmon is actually pretty good in kind of like the new Beelstar Impmon rush, kind of like mirror with the Beelstarmon mirror, and also against you know, the cross hearts or even counters Death X if you're high rolling and playing Impmons out. A lot of Impmons out. So basically Impmon at the top here, that's just a trash 3 on deletion. Very helpful stuff for accelerating plays. It gets a good check in. If it survives, it's another check, can't complain. This Impmon here, on play, reveal the top 4, grab a Beelzemon and an Iron Mako, which is very, very important. Considering running this at, well, considering running the Iron Mako, the new one, at 4/3, but we'll dive into that later. And when this card is trashed from your deck, actually, you get to trash 3 more cards. As long as it's not from its own effect, you can do that. So very good stuff for extending your plays even further and getting to your win condition as fast as you can. Next, we have Impmon over here from the advanced deck. And this Impmon's really cool. If you have 20 more cards in your trash when attacking, you can digivolve into a Beels from trash for a memory cost of 3, ignoring the rest of its requirements, which is super awesome, and we'll show you guys the combos towards the end, so there are no issues. This Impmon I was thinking of cutting, honestly, this guy right here, and instead thinking of just adding a different Digimon or option entirely. I might do 4 of the new Iron Makos, as I mentioned, because if you're playing Rivals Barrage, you can pretty much just cycle your stuff anyway. So this Impmon might not be as needed, so I wouldn't worry about it. But Psychmon and Gazimon, the one of, have been helpful for me, but feel free to cut them for space as needed as well. So that's it for the rookies. There's a lot, but you know, as I test, I'm probably gonna dip down. As I test, I'm probably gonna dip down to about maybe 13 rookies top. So I'll be finding a way to cut 2 here and moving forward. Next, we're going into the level 4s. So the level 4 spot has been kind of like a struggle for me in terms of how many do I want to play. Obviously, you have the core here, which is the 4 promo Wizardmons and the 4 advanced deck Witchmons. And I added 2 copies of Musyamon here, and I'll dive into the reasoning why after I've explained all the card effects. So Wizardmon's really cool. When this card is trashed from the top of your deck, gain 1 memory, and its inheritable effect is even cooler because you can basically add a card from your hand when attacking to the top of your deck. So when you start resolving when trash effects, you can actually trigger, you know, the card that you add on top of the deck, because that's what you'll end up trashing. So that's pretty good. Witchmon is awesome. When digivolving, trash the top 3 cards of your deck. It's just instant value on digivolve, and I just find that too good to pass up. Might dip Witchmon down to 3 though, if I'm just being completely honest, because I really want to be able to just find other ways to cycle my stuff. So I might cut a Witchmon for an EX2 Dobermon. But the Musyamon here I am testing, and it's been pretty fun because sometimes what you want is an extra draw. You don't want to instantly trash stuff from the top of your deck, especially early on into the match or going in towards mid game. So early game, sure, fine. You have that Impmon, you swing into security, you trash the top 3 cards of your deck, great. But eventually you might, you know, be milling not too well. Your hits might not be so good, and the draw 1 off Musyamon is great. And because Musyamon is a wizard, it actually pairs very well with the Yamon here. So when attacking once per turn, if this Digimon has Wizard or Demon Lord, once again, trash the top 2 cards of your deck. So Musyamon allows you to facilitate and continue your win condition without your Digimon actually dying or having to die. So early game, yeah, let your Impmon die, right? So you can play it back with EX2 Beelzemon when it's trashed from the top of your deck. But early mid towards mid game, if you still can't find pieces, Musyamon allows for that like extra check, especially if your opponent can't answer Musyamon early on. You get the extra check, you get the trash top 2, you get value. And if the Digimon doesn't die, it's a free check, and then you can go into the Ballmon suspended, which can be tempting for some players. And if they misplay that and swing over it, and you've got the conditions to play Beels, you're just playing Beels, which is great. Let me know what you think about Musyamon, and let me know what other wizards you've been testing with for Beels. Next, we are going with the level 5s, and the level 5s, I think this is going to be the gold standard moving into BT12 as well. It's 4 copies of the advanced deck Ballmon and 2 copies of the BT10 Ballmon. So simply put, this Ballmon, when digivolving, trash the top 3 cards of your deck, and then when digivolving as well, if there are 10 or more cards in your trash, you can play a Beelzemon from trash on deletion without, you know, paying its costs. And the best part about this Ballmon actually is it lasts until the end of your opponent's turn, and it lasts on this Digimon. So if you happen to go into Beelzemon at the same turn here and keep turn, and you somehow manage to swing, if the Beelzemon under this ends up dying, highly unlikely because your DP is going to be pretty high, you can just play out another Beelzemon and you're good to go, which is awesome. Yep. Next, we have the Beels suite. So we're going to be running 4 copies of the Beels EX2, 2 copies of the Advanced Deck Beels, and then 2 copies of the Blast Mode. So just diving into these really quickly. Beelzemon, when attacking and when digivolving, trash the top 2 cards of your deck. The when attacking is not once per turn, and then for every 10, and then delete a level 3 Digimon for every 10 cards in your trash, up the level by 1. When this is trashed from the top of your deck as well, you get to play an Impmon, which I think is super, super important. How many I need varies from 3 to 4, but I'm testing 4 now just to get that max consistency in what I can mill and what value I can get out of that. So cool stuff. And this Beelzemon, super cool, the new one from the Advanced Deck. When digivolving, trash the top 4 cards of your deck, and then all turns once per turn. When a card is trashed from your deck, gain a memory for every 10 cards in your trash. So if your opponent is forced to delete your Impmon and you mill 3 and you end up at 30 cards, on their turn, they actually have to pay 3 memory, which is pretty awesome. Your turn as well, when a card is trashed from your deck, this Digimon gains security attack +1 for the turn. So that's super cool. Beelzemon can pretty much be very cheap at 30 cards because you're gaining 30 cards in trash because you're gaining 3 memory back, right? So that's pretty good. Blast Mode is so great. We finally have a swing for game that doesn't have to be a hybrid. So when this card is trashed from the top of your deck, delete a level 3 Digimon, up the level for every 10 cards in trash. So that's even better, right? Than the old one. When digivolving, unsuspend this Digimon. If you have 20 or more cards in trash, gain 3 memory. So ideally, if you are able to digivolve into Beels, keep turn, trigger its effects, swing 2 checks here, and then you go into Blast Mode, you would unsuspend here, gain 3 memory back, and potentially swing for either 2 more checks or swing for game, which is very, very good, obviously. So that's it for the Beels suite. I'll show you guys some of the combos once again later towards the end of this video, but we'll finish up here. So for the options, well, Tamers, we're running 3 copies of the new Iron Mako. Once again, I'm probably gonna cut the BT6 Impmon for a 4th Iron Mako. I just think Iron Mako is so important because it's your main searcher. It allows you to grab your level 4s and your level 5s, which you play pretty few of, and it also allows you to find a rookie when you don't have one, because reveal the top 4 cards of your deck and add a Digimon with Evil, Wizard, or Demon Lords in its traits, and then bottom deck the rest. So there's no deck out from Iron Mako, at least from this card. And the cool thing about it is I can retrieve an Impmon because all the Impmons have Evil in their traits, which is very crucial sometimes. Your turn, when one of your Digimon digivolves into a purple Digimon, by suspending this Tamer, you can actually place a card to the top of your deck and then gain a memory, which I think is super awesome because then it's like a Wizardmon in a Tamer form. So you would digivolve, draw, and then you can suspend this, adding a card to the top of your deck, and then trigger the trash effects of the when digivolving trash effects of Witchmon and Balmon, and then you can get the value from whatever it is you put at the top of your deck and gain a memory back for each Iron Mako that you do this with, which is also why I want to play 4, because I think I can see, if I can see 2 Iron Makos, my Balmon is 1 cost, and if I throw in Wizardmon, Deathslinger at the top, then I'm just basically gaining memory at that point, which is awesome. Next, you guys, we're gonna be looking into the options here, running 4 copies of Deathslinger, and last but not least, 4 copies of Rivals Barrage. So Deathslinger, when trashed from the top of your deck, gain a memory, standard stuff, very cool. Strongest memory gains in the deck, rivaling Promo Wizardmon when trashed from top. And its main effect is delete 1 level 4 lower Digimon, and then add 1 to the level for every 10 cards in your trash. So at only 20 cards in your trash, you can already delete level 6 Digimon with Deathslinger, which I think is absolutely insane. So I like to keep 1 in my hand at all times, just for when I need the extra memory to swing for game, for example, by going into the blast mode, or triggered with Wizardmon, obviously, like placing it to the top of your deck, etc. Or when I would just need to delete something. I just find having 1 of these important. Also, if you have 1 or 2 in your hand, you can kind of, like, not trashing it withholds information from your opponent, which makes them think that it might be in your security, which is a pretty big deal. Sometimes people will play it safe instead of go for game, just because if they hit something, the momentum switch is just so high that it's irreversible if they do hit something. So sometimes they'll be like, okay, let's just put them to 1, see what happens. And at 1 memory, you're still very dangerous. So you can kind of just hopefully fake out your opponent's play. Rivals Barrage, very powerful card. I love this card. I honestly want to play Beelzemon simply because of the addition of this card. I wasn't really that big a fan of like the blue tech. I always wanted to play like a mono Beelstar, and Trump Sword was great, but it didn't cut it fully. And now that we have Rivals Barrage, there's absolutely like every reason in the world to play Beelstar, so I'll have a deck profile of that up soon too. But Rivals Barrage, basically when this card is trashed from the top of your deck, you play it on your battle area, you place it on your battle area, not play it, and then you can trigger its delay effect. Its main effect though is delete 1 of your opponent's Digimon with the highest level. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't delete all your Digimon with the highest level, but 1 Digimon is enough, especially if it's the highest level, because previously you would need 30 cards in trash to delete a level 7 with Deathslinger. You did not really have answers to level 7s until you went into super late game, and by then it was typically too late. With Rivals Barrage, you don't need to worry about that at all. You can just slam this or see it in security, hopefully, and do a lot of cool stuff, which I think is insane. One thing I want to note that people were really misplaying at the Beelzemon Cup. I think someone misplayed against me and they ended up winning, but anyways, Rivals Barrage, its delay effect is only triggered when it's trashed from the top of your deck. Like, the only way Rivals Barrage will be placed into your battle area is if it's trashed from the top of your deck. When you hit it in security, it deletes the highest level Digimon. It does not end up placed on your battle area after, and when you use it from hand, it is not placed on your battle area either. So just be careful with that. Don't want anyone to get you in trouble, don't want you to get in trouble, because the delay effect, once again, only when trashed from top of the deck. So there you go. Alright, so that is the chunk of the deck profile. We will be going over some combos, and I hope you guys enjoy this part. So the first stack I really want to discuss is the early mid-game stack of Yamon, Digimon, and Musyamon. And I really like this stack because typically early game your opponent might not have a really good answer to your Musyamon, and jamming is always going to be a free check, assuming you don't hit removal, of course. So because Musyamon is a wizard, you actually get to trigger Yamon's effect, which is once per turn when attacking, trash the top 2 cards of your deck. So you can start facilitating plays immediately. You can even start gaining memory immediately, which I think is very powerful. In addition to that, when this Digimon is underneath, its inheritable effect is once per turn. When a card is trashed from the top of your deck, you can delete 1 of your opponent's level 3 Digimon. So this is a great like little mini combo to remove floodgates and to also delete searchers, so you can prevent them from getting a free check. So if I happen to be put to 2 memory because my opponent played a searcher, or or 3 memory for that matter, and I'm like going second or whatever, I can pretty much raise Musyamon here, if they ended their turn on a searcher, swing, trash top 2, delete the searcher, like, you know, those Agus, Gabus, you know, all these Digimon that search for other cards for other pieces of the world. And then because they're deleted, they won't either build up to another stack and keep whatever they have in raising, or they won't get that free check-in while you have jamming, which is awesome. Another important thing that jamming brings into play is you get the extra check once again, and with that you can digivolve ending your turn on the Beelzemon. So if for whatever reason you pay 2 here going to 0 with the Musyamon, and then you pay another 3 going into ball, you could potentially mill a total of 5 cards, which increases the likelihood of you hitting Promo Wizard or Deathslinger, so you can pass the least amount of memory possible. In addition to that, with Beelzemon being suspended through Musyamon's swing, it is now prone to being swung over. And once again, if your opponent's not paying attention, or if they really feel they don't want the other check to come in, or they think they're gonna be able to they'd rather deal with the Beelzemon now and pass you tons of memory later, they'll likely swing over it. And then if the Beelzemon does come out, if they delete it, you're at a lot of memory, which is great. In addition to that, if the more likely scenario is they are actually not going to delete it, then you just have a level 5 that sits there kind of like tauntingly at your opponent, because it's like suspended and ripe for the picking, but it's just not the case. So another stack here that should take priority for you guys is these 3 Digimon to start. Wizardmon, Balmon, and Beelzemon. So if you're able to get into this wonderful stack, you can potentially trigger Ian Mako off digivolving either of these Digimon to gain a memory back and potentially place a very useful card from trash, such as Rivals Barrage, Deathslinger, and Beelzemon to the top of your deck and gain a memory for that. So that memory gain will obviously offset Beelzemon's Evo cost, and for every 10 cards in your trash, it'll offset that even further, which is pretty awesome. And then if you happen to keep turn here, Beelzemon can swing. You can then trigger the Wizardmon effect to add either of these cards yet again. So depending on the situation, like if you're ready to blast mode for game, you might want to add Deathslinger to make sure that you keep turn, and then trash with the Yamon egg, assuming you got it. Let me just put that there in order to pretty much, you know, go into blast mode here from that. In addition to that, once your blast mode is in trash, a key priority mid-game is to have a few copies, maybe 2 copies of Rivals Barrage on the field. You just don't use them if both blast modes are in trash. That way you can use them later on to swing for game by taking this from your trash, digivolving into Beelzemon for 4, gaining 3 memory back, and then unsuspending. And if you keep turn, you're swinging for game. So make sure that if you're going for this kind of play, if your play is heavily reliant upon Beelzemon Blast Mode, which, let's be real, this deck will be for the most part, Beelzemon and Blast Mode will pretty much close out games for you. Rivals Barrage is very important if you're having a less than desirable kind of like mill, like trashing, if you've been trashing really badly. Rivals Barrage is your main out, which is why, like, early game you want to put it at the top of your deck. So with Ian Mako, if you don't have the wizard, so when you digivolve into things like Witchmon, Balmon, or if you swing with whatever you just digivolved into, you'll at least get a few copies of this on the board so you can prepare your win condition. So that's pretty much combo number 2. All right, you guys, that said, that completes the deck profile overall. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Feel free to comment your thoughts. I'm going to be testing Musyamon a lot more, and then I'm going to be experimenting with other wizards in purple, like, you know, like the other Wizardmon, or I'll also be testing with Jokermon just to see if I can, like, if cycling Impmons matter that way too. And yeah, thank you. Peace.